The following feature may contain references to sex, drugs and rock and roll. Oh, and some bad language too.
I once gave Noel Gallagher a guitar, and it was through my brother Ian, and he'd introduced me to Noel and everything, and they were just sort of starting out. And I'd been to a couple of gigs, and they'd played to, you know, 8 people and a dog sort of thing. And Noel was asking me what I thought of one of the gigs one time, and I said to him, well, you know, it's great, it's fantastic, but you've really got to get another guitar, because, you know, he used to stand with his back to the audience in between songs, and he'd look at this big tuner, and I'd say, you're spending ages tuning up. You know, you could go at the bar and have a drink and come back and you're still tuning up, you know, and you need another guitar, just get one. You know, and quite rightly he said to me, well, that's all right for you to say, you know, I'm on the dole, you know, I've got like 12 quid, and you know, you've got like 100 guitars, so, you know, it's all very well, but I'm skint, you know, so I thought, oh, all right, of course, yeah. So I said, oh, well, look, I'll lend you one of mine. And, you know, his eyes lit up like that. So I went back to my house and I thought, well, you know, what guitar can I give him? I can't give him one that's too sort of dodgy or cheap or whatever, you know, I've got to give him a decent one. So I had this Sunburst 1960 Gibson Les Paul, worth a fortune. It was then, but it is now. And I got it from Pete Townsend, and I just thought, oh yeah, I'll lend him that. It's all right. It really buzz him up, you know. So no one knew of him at this time. So I saw him and went, yeah, look, yeah, you can borrow that. You can have that as your spare guitar. So he immediately was like, that became his main guitar. But they took off very quickly after that. Around that time, they got a lot of attention, and it was almost like a few weeks passed, and I was reading in the music press, it's like, Johnny Marr gives band guitar, and Oasis this, that and the other. And the way he'd made it out was like he and I had met on this grassy knoll at midnight under a full moon, like that, in our shades. And I'd walked up onto the knoll and I'd passed him the Les Paul, like Excalibur, you know, and said, here, keeper of the flame, you know, taketh thy Les Paul and lay down some heavy licks, that the masses may fall at your feet, and you will become King Noel. Arise, King Noel, you know. And then we drank the blood of a groupie, which isn't actually what happened. I said to him, you can borrow this guitar for a bit till you get some money. Anyway, he fell in love with this guitar, and so I didn't really have the heart to ask for it back then. And he wrote, I know he wrote Live Forever on it, and he probably wrote a few more. It's in the Live Forever video. A few months later, they went on a tour. Well, they were always on tour, but they did this gig up at, they were starting to get kind of big then, and they did a gig and they played at Newcastle Mayfair before it closed down. And I got this phone call from the office this one morning, totally freaking out. Noel has broken the guitar, and someone had got up on stage and had started fighting with Liam, and Noel had whacked someone over the head with his guitar and broken the guitar. And I was like, oh, that's terrible. What do you want me to do about it? Can you lend him another one? Right. So I went and looked through my guitars, and I got this black Les Paul that I wrote Big Mouth Strikes Again on, and The Queen Is Dead. And is on the whole of the Queen Is Dead album, pretty much. And but he was freaking out because he thought I'd be really mad, but also because they needed a guitar for the next night, you know, and they needed like a quality guitar. So I sent this guitar up anyway with a note saying, okay, this one's well heavy, and if you can get a good swing with this one, next time you'll take the fucker out. And years later, probably 2004, 3, 4, something like that, I was playing on an Oasis album, and I was stood at the mixing desk and I was listening to the track, and Jason, who used to be my roadie, who's now Noel's roadie, went to pass me a guitar, and I was actually distracted and I was listening to the track, and Jason went, here, I put my hand out, and it was that black guitar, the second one that I'd given, that I used on The Queen Is Dead, and I plugged it in and then just played the solo on this track, so it had a nice little bit of a resolve to it.
Original content every day. Channel B. Join us.